Hello, I'm Stephen, and welcome back to the Shack for another, hopefully, revealing message in the more of life. And we're continuing here today on the aspect of awakening. Many of you, oh, by the way, this is a new member of our family, and his name is Roy. He's come at a very timely point in my life, and we'll talk a little bit about Roy in a second or a minute. But at any rate, today we are going to continue on the path of discovery and awakening. And I want to respond to so many of your thoughts and reflections on the difficulty of lifting these veils to farther reach the light and the radiance within us. And I know it's not easy. It takes courage, and it can be a little bit fearful, actually, because essentially what we're doing is we're letting go of ideas and customs and patterns of behavior that have been with us for a very long time. Maybe as much as 1,000 years. It seems like a long time, and we may have been here on numerous occasions. Well, this guy's making a chewy bone down on my thumb, so I need to give him up. But Roy's a beauty, and insisted on being part of the show today. So here you go, Kelsey. But at any rate, folks, it is true that changing the picture in particularly can be difficult. And I just want to remind you that it's not a matter of running or jumping, but it's more a matter of being persistently attuned to what our deeper meaning and our intuitive aspects are speaking to us and revealing about the who of what we are. Lifting these veils of fear and outworn beliefs and thoughts can be so difficult because without the longer view of life, it seems like that we're more alone and maybe more separated from ourselves than ever. Another way to look at that is to take an old piece of wood. Now this might remind us of, the life, our life. And over time, the habit of consumption and production has really hidden our deeper splendor for many of us. But the associating good and significant acts in our life will invariably reveal deep in here somewhere, and it might take a lot of work, but we're going to reach and find some radiance, some of that inner being. And when it's revealed, we will persist. We will feel a call and a pulling. Something will bring us along. And we will not discontinue looking to know more of that ancient being that has unfortunately left life's river in some respects, which has introduced so much of the sense of separation in our suffering. But here you can see, it wasn't easy, but underlying all of this old wood and bark is the very core of this aspect of the tree. What's so incredible about it is that this is where the tree began. And in its life, decay and darkness has set in and destroyed or taken away or hidden, if you will, that radiance or that deeper light. You might say that what we need to do is to shed the bark in our lives, which is a true function of awakening. And trees do this continuously. And the new wood is laid over the old wood. But it's always there. And as we chance to lift these veils, albeit difficult, we will find something very special. Something that may have been long hidden, but something that you will never again want to be without. And yes, the effort involved can be difficult, but it is an effort that we will willingly make. So we shed this old bark and we give it up to the fire of transformation. So once again, remember, we spoke about how once we're facing in the right direction, The issue is to just keep on walking, to be persistent and continuous in our efforts. The next question becomes, once we start to find ourselves, how do we continue to face the right direction? And here's where I would like to introduce the theme today of star values. These are values in our life that persist through any darkness. They are values of intention and purpose. They can be small or large. And ultimately, our life will journey between them. These values can change over time as the circumstances of our life changes. A star value, again, is something that has guiding principles. It never speaks of manipulation or perversion, but yet it remains there even if we lose our focus from time to time. My head hung a little heavy this winter. Many of you have noticed that, because I was struggling with some of my own darkness. Two issues occurred simultaneously almost, and both were very painful. One is we lost a favorite dog who now really has come to stand in his place. My buddy died very young, long before his time, and he had become quite the accomplished fox hunter, which was protecting my chickens, which some of you know are very near to me. And that may have been a circumstance of depression that I couldn't have helped, but telling on myself, I need to put a drop of dark ink into what was who I thought I was. And this darkness occurred in my life as a result of failing to be a steward of a very beautiful pond of fish. And as a result, we lost many, many hundreds of fish from the pond of Fairyland. The winter was long and the ice was thick, but it was in my hands to be a steward of those beings. And it's not like this was the first time that it happened. Quite honestly, 10 years ago, we had a similar winter, and I lost many fish. And so it's a painful acknowledgement of how I failed to be the steward of something that I prize. I like to believe that essentially my presence is fairly clear, but I overlooked it, and as a result, I've dealt with this smell for quite some time. And so it's been difficult. And so, again, just one failure, one misact, and you can see how 1/10,000th of this glass of darkness has entered into my life. And we'll come back there later. But on that note, friends, I really have much appreciation and thanks to extend to you for the presence that you have lent to me in believing and endorsing the message, the presentation at Unity and Zion and celebrations in Greenshire was most exceptional. I also want to thank the people out there who are already living this message and have been living it for some time. This is just a wonderful chord of many wonderful chords which comes from Karen. And it's her extension of her star value into the world, where she creates these wonderful chords of color. And I love the way they almost always surround the earth and people upon the earth. And she gives them out, so upon them I can send to you messages with her love and affection. Another story to tell is the man who owns the Wet Nose Recovery, from where Roy came from. This is a man who was a banker and felt a call deep within him. He left the bank and now has committed his life to finding homes for these beautiful beings. And on having said that, it's really difficult to believe that that puppy, Roy, was just one day from the deep sixth needle. It's just a shame that in this world of so much that we can look past life because maybe it's not human, or because maybe we're just so busy there's not enough of us willing to open our hand. And that is really what being found is about in this time and age. It's about extending to life that open hand and releasing some of what we had taken as Caesar's. The fact is here, friends, that this process will begin pretty naturally as we will sense that pull and carry us along into the future. I would also like to thank those who extend a hand and a voice for anybody in this world who has not one. And I'd like to extend the appreciation to Mirabai and Laura for helping people die and walking them through that difficult time. So the call has gone out, and so many of us are answering it, and that's a beautiful thing, because together we're coming back to life's river, and we will handle within us our truth and what we value, and it becomes a lantern that we hold high in these difficult times, and it will warm and it will help illumine those who make themselves available. More than this we cannot do. But okay, and talk about what giving up our old bark and old wood in our lives can reveal. I can't help but introduce to you what is a piece of a very special tree. And I don't know if you can see it, but this is a habitat of a being that lives in the tree and did live in the being at one time. And you can see his presence and face right here. And he created this space, I suppose, for his company and his wanderings. So I took this tree, which will be gifted in part to the lady from Center Valley, and I took a piece of the wood and I felt a presence. It's a most splendid remnant of a tree. And here, as I was turning this piece of wood to make a goblet for this lady, the chisel started to shatter and the wood became very difficult. And I turned off the machine and look what was revealed. In this piece of wood, some of the life which helped manage the life of the tree. And this being here speaks, and when you hold this wood, your hand trembles a little bit. So we captured him in his sleep, but still as an intimate part of a grand tree. And as we come along on this path of awakening and remembering, we start to sense where else we are, and we start to pierce those veils that separate us from other very meaningful expressions of life. So, to the grand sycamore and to the beings who reside in it. And okay, so regarding our cleansing and our sustaining clarity in our life, even when darkness has entered. Throughout my life, and what I leave to you, friends, is perhaps the best solution, and it's called dilution. So there's no way to get a mistake and reverse that fish kill in fairyland, but I can make a commitment to continue to add into my life acts of caring, celebrations of joy, and the celebration of friendship. And when I do that, I am diluting what was a fairly dark instance. And it's not totally gone, but it's much more clear. And I think this has been a result of so many of you extending your hands, your trust, and your belief to not only myself, but to life in general, and especially to life's longer view, where you live and live always. But then, friends, it reminds us of that call in our very first day, when we rode and took that arrow from the mighty bow of life deep into a very dark place. We set that place aglow, and today we continue to journey so those flowers from heaven might on this ground to grow. Thank you.